welcome to Career Competitor, where we welcome guests to share insights that will light the fire within you to make a career of competing. Whether that be in your career, your business, your personal life, or simply within you, as the competitor within you might just be the greatest competition in your world. While I have you here, take the time to be rating the show, especially if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to subscribe or follow the show on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to us on. Finally, be sure to head to careercompetitor.com, where you can learn all about what it is I offer within my executive coaching company and what it is I could potentially do to you as an individual or on behalf of you within your team and or organization. I would love the opportunity to connect with you, so be sure to reach out to me, steve@careercompetitor.com. That's steve@careercompetitor.com. But like I said, head to the website and be sure to check out everything that I offer and to learn more about how I can be of impact to you within your world. But for now, let's welcome in our guest for this episode of Career Competitor. Okay, our career competitor today joins us all the way from India, is a best-selling author and CEO of bestsellingbook.com. Our guests transformed their career when deciding to write their own best-selling book, How to Write a Bestseller, which led them to a position today where they help entrepreneurs, coaches, and thought leaders in producing their own best-selling book. A story based on understanding your potential and aligning that with the knowledge of where you can have the greatest impact. Our guest is an example of what you can achieve when you are clear on your purpose. I'm excited to have the chance to learn from today's guest, Mr. Vikrant Shaurya. Vikrant, how are you, man?
Hey, Steve. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm good and really excited to discuss with you, and I would do my best to serve your audience.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to get into this. And we started chatting, as I always do with my guests, before we press record here. Because at the heart of the ability to write a book, as I know all too well, having written one myself last year, is just the human ability to get started on a big project. And I think that's going to be a big part of our conversation today. But before we start getting too much into some of the awesome insights that I know you can provide people, why don't you just tell everybody about where you are, what you're doing at the moment, and really what makes a typical day for Vikrant at the moment.
Right now I'm in India with my family, but my company is in States. All of our clients, they're US based. All the writers, editors, proofreaders they're from States. So basically what we do is we have a team of ghostwriters, editors, designers, marketers, and we help our clients turn their book ideas into #1 best-selling book in less than 6 months. So we're in this publishing space. The company's name used to be bestsellingbook.com, but now we're in the rebranding phase, and we are rebranding our company's name to, the new company's name is going to be Authors on Mission. So the website is live, and we can discuss about exactly why we transitioned from bestsellingbook.com to Authors on Mission later. But simply, I really love talking to people like you, like on podcast, and I try my best to reach out to more and more people and ignite the inner fire they have, which is hidden, to write a book. So maybe I'll try my best to do that in this podcast as well.
Yeah, well, you're talking my language right away, man. You know, the at the heart of, I can't recall if I'm still using this now, but when we first started this show, it was career competitor, how to ignite the fire within you to get started within your career. So we're talking about igniting fires already, man. You are already singing from my hymn sheet, which I really appreciate. But the beauty of everything that you just talked about there is that the majority of our listeners are based in the US. So here you are with a company that is based in the US, even though you're based in India at the moment. And I'm really curious, when you alluded to something there, which is definitely where I want to start, is that a lot of leaders, a lot of coaches like myself really just those that are competitive and driven towards achieving great things, at some point in their life, they've said something, oh, maybe I could write a book about this, whatever that they happen to be talking about. And in your experiences, I'm sure you come to find it's few and far between that actually decide to step forward and go through with that process. So you shared a statistic with me before we came on, and I want you to firstly share that statistic with people, but then also just expand upon it in the sense of why is it you feel as though people talk about writing a book, but for whatever reason, they don't follow through with it as well?
Yeah, so the statistic I was talking about was from Forbes. And according to Forbes, 81% Americans wants to write a book, but less than 1% people actually even try to write a book. And 1% of those 1% people finally write a book. So that's a kind of a very, very big difference between how many people want to write a book and then how many people actually get started writing a book and how many people finally become an author. And I personally think, after working with thousands of people in this space, I think that it all boils down to any problem, right? So whenever you pick up a task, right, no matter whether it is a small task or a big task, if you are doing it for the very first time, you will feel overwhelmed. No matter what task is, like if you're doing it for the first time, you are going into the space that you have never gone to. So you will feel overwhelmed. And one of the best way to solve that problem is to really breaking that big task into achievable milestones, small tasks, right? So you also wrote this book last year. And when people think about writing a book, they have no idea what are the different steps involved in writing a book, right? So there's a title and subtitle, then you have to come up with the book outline. But before book outline, you have to do some research on the target audience, why you want to write a book, and then who is the reader, what kind of pain they're experiencing, how the book is going to be different. All of these steps are extremely important. Then once the outline is done, then you have to go with the introduction, then chapters, and then you have to find an editor, proofreader. Then you have to get a book cover designer or interior designer.
This is why people don't start.
People have no idea. Even if they have the ideas, they always feel overwhelmed. Hey, like, oh my God, there's so many steps involved, and then they just simply quit it. Like we have personally worked with so many people who wanted to become an author for 15 years, 20 years. And then they started working with us, and in just 5 to 6 months, they became best-selling authors. Why? Because eventually they knew that they are expert in their field, right? And we are expert in our field. And they know that if they would want to write a book, it could take them maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, in case if they want to learn all of the process, right? Or they might end up writing a really, really bad book. So there are only two possible solutions to fixing this problem. Either you work with a professional company who have done it hundreds of times, or if you have the time, if you have the resources, do the proper research and break the big problem or your goal into achievable milestones, right? Exactly what are the steps involved in writing a book. And I've created this checklist, just 1-page checklist where all of these steps are there, like which we go through when we are working with our clients. And if the audience is going to go to bestsellingbook.com/checklist, they can download this checklist completely for free. And it has everything they want to know about how this writing, publishing, and marketing thing work. In just 1 page, all of these steps are there. All the steps, sub-steps are there. So this is going to help them overcome that mental block they have in their mind before they want to get started.
Yeah, I love that. And there's certain things that you're mentioning here that, again, as I think we've both now alluded to, have commonalities with just about any other aspect of life, whether or not it's writing a book, going about your tasks on a weekend, simply going about a typical workday. Sometimes when you look at the day ahead of you,
Yeah.
the overwhelm can cause you to not take any action at all.
Mm.
And we talk about on this show becoming more competitive in what you do in terms of optimizing yourself and optimizing your performance. And while we're talking again, we're specific to that of writing a book, anyone listening to this should be able to understand that whoever you are and whatever walk of life you're trying to be successful within, you're encountering everything that you're talking about here, Vikrant, in some way, shape, or form, probably at least on a week-to-week basis, if not on a day-to-day basis. And that as a human element is something that is worth acknowledging. But you mentioned the fact that you have specific expertise while other people have expertise in their own field. And I think that's what's really interesting here that sometimes needs to be addressed, is that what makes someone an expert is the field within which they come from. And you come from the field of optimizing book sales, writing a great book. Like, that is your field. So for someone to hear something like, hey, this is a safe place for me to maybe move into with my expertise, for someone to actually leverage my expertise, I think that has to be pretty reassuring for anyone to hear. So with that being said, how do you maybe present that reassurance to anybody who's coming in and saying, hey, I'm an expert in X field, and I want you to help me leverage my expertise now with your expertise? How do you maybe reassure someone that they're in great hands?
First of all, like, we have like hundreds. 10 years ago, it was very difficult because we had not those number of case studies or testimonials we have right now.
Sure.
Now we have hundreds of testimonials, video testimonials, and case studies of people like who have worked with us. So the first thing that they do is, before they book a call with us, they go through all of the case studies and experiences our past clients had with us. It gives them some sort of assurance. At the same time, like, when they come to us, like, we also tell them that all the top 1% authors that you know, right? The not people like who write business books or nonfiction, who are nonfiction authors, like Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, like 7 Habits, Highly Effective Habit of Successful People by Stephen Covey, and then Richard Branson that who wrote Losing My Virginity. All of these books, including all the other famous books out there, they are ghost written, right? And these top 1% people in this world know that their time has certain value. And if they're going to come and they're going to start learning this new habit, right, to write a book or maybe edit a book, they can do it. They are competitive. They can do it, but it can take a lot of effort for them. It can take years of their time, right? So they leverage others people's expertise, right? And what they do is they just talk, they just share their message. They hire a ghostwriter who have 10-20 years of experience and have written maybe 20 plus or 50 plus books, and they interview them. And what they do is they simply answer their questions, and based on the answers, they actually capture their voice and write the book in their authentic voice. So most of the people out there, like, who are top 1%, they have done it. And we have also worked with some of the really, really great, successful people, from startup owners to coaches, consultants, Fortune 500 companies owners as well. And they also had the same experience with us. So if we can do that with them, then we can also help you achieve that. And we also share the metrics that, if, for example, if you have a certain hourly rate, if you charge maybe $500 per hour for your consultation fees, and on average, if you are writing the book for the very first time, it can take at least 100 hours of your time. Then straight away it would be more than $50,000, right, for you. So it's best to give that money. Like, you can just do what you are working on, right? What you do the best, and save that $50,000, and then just give some amount of money to a professional company and they can do the better job for you, which is also going to save you time, and it's also going to be saving you ton of frustration and energy and effort. So yeah, like we go through the process to make sure that they know that what exactly they're going to be getting, and we write actually better book than what they could have written for them.
Mm. Yeah, and that you talk about reassuring, that's hugely reassuring. And again, another fantastic point in the sense of how do you allow someone to understand that their time is of a certain value, especially when you're talking about someone with 15, 20, 25 years of experience in their particular field. By that point, chances are they're too busy to just press pause on hours and hours of work to start writing a book. And it's funny, people have said to me, I wrote my book in my first year of business, and they went, you started a business and you had time to write a book. It's like, well, when I started my business, I didn't have a lot of business, so I had a lot of time to write a book. So for me, that is always the irony of that. But at the same time, I completely understand, the ability for someone who is way, way, way further along in their career and their business to need someone like yourself as a resource to help them balance what it is they're doing. But Vikrant, I really want to get a little bit more specific now with you in terms of just you and your story, because I think there's something in your story that speaks to me. You found a purpose, you found a passion for something, and you decided to not only pursue it for you, but in a way where you could then go and serve others in doing so. So with that being said, where does that passion come from for you to at the end of the day be providing a service to people where you know that you're fulfilling, in some cases, we're talking about lifelong dreams, right? Becoming an author, like things like that. That's a bucket list item for a lot of people. Where does that passion come from for you to be of serving to others?
Honestly, this was never planned, right? And it was never my passion to help. I had no idea whether I'm going to be going into the publishing space. Long story short, 12 years ago, my family wanted me to become an engineer, typical Indian parents, right? I took an admission in engineering college. In just 6 months, I realized that this is not for me. And I think I was in the third semester, 1.5 years. So in India, there's a 4-year period to complete a BTech or engineering. And I was in I was in 1.5 year, and I was in a college library, and I found this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It completely changed my perception about life and finance. And I decided that I'm going to do something of my own. I dropped out of the college the very same day. And in the next 2 to 3 months, I was 19 at that time. I started a company. I borrowed some money from my friends, my relatives, my seniors. Started a company, hired a bunch of employees, made bunch of mistakes, and in 6 months, I had no money left to run my business or pay my employees, so I had to shut down the company. I was 20, financially broke, more than 5,000 in debt, with a broken laptop, with 2G internet speed in a single room apartment. There was I think I was not able to pay my rent and electricity bills for last 3 months. And I remember that I was searching online at 2 a.m. at night how to make money online with zero investment. I had nothing. And I found self-publishing, that I can write, publish, and market my books. And English is not my first language, and but that was not an excuse for me, because I have to make this work, right? And I watched some before that, like YouTube was not very popular, so I had to go through some articles, and right. So back then there was not a lot of tutorials or training videos out there for every step, so I had to go through so many blogs to figure it out. I wrote my first book under my pen name in less than 21 days. And I wrote it. My girlfriend back then, she was very good at academics. She proofread the book. By the way, now she's my wife. So, so she helped me do the editing. I was able to publish it. I remember that the first month I made around $28 from that book. And when I saw that, I was I was very, very happy with that. I know it's very little money, but this was the first time I made some money.
Yeah.
Um, I saw some opportunity over there. The next book I wrote and published in less than 3 days. It was a short book.
Mm.
And this time I also did some marketing. And this month I made around $450 from both of these books. And then I think that, hey, like this is definitely going to be working. I was able to pay my 3 months rent and electricity from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was quite happy. And I started publishing a lot of books. I understood how the marketing and all these steps works. I learned a lot of things from there. Funny thing happened when I started posting about my books on my Facebook profile, and people started reaching out to me that, hey, can you help me
Mm-hmm.
become an author? A few people, like I helped them for free, like 3 to 4 people, and then I started adding a coaching fees in that. And for 1 year, I helped them. I helped a lot of people with my coaching. I launched several courses and ebooks on JV Zoo and Warrior Forum, Warrior Plus, if you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you launch information products over there. So I got thousands of students from there. Help a lot of people become published author. But there were so many people who started reaching out to me saying that, hey, we don't have the time to sit down and write the book. Can you please help me do it? And back then, I had no idea about ghostwriting.
Mm.
And I did some research and found that this is a very, very big market. So honestly speaking, Steve, like it was not my goal to come into this space, but I created a team of ghostwriters, editors, designers in states, and uh, started helping people. Right, initially, it was just to help people write and publish the book, make them become a published author,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that with my marketing, I was good at book marketing. So almost all the books that we were doing, they started becoming bestsellers, right? Initially Amazon bestsellers. Now we also help people get on Wall Street Journal bestseller, US Today bestsellers as well. So after 3 years, so the first company's name was the Books Factory, right? This was
Mm.
the initial company.
Yeah.
Then I thought, okay, that's great. So when all the books started becoming bestsellers, so I rebranded the company to bestsellingbook.com.
Right.
And in last 3 to 4 years, we saw that best-selling book is not the end. Now people like our clients are using their books, their best-selling book to fulfill their mission. For some people, it is to get more clients. Some people, it is to help people get on speaking gigs, generate more leads. Some people, it's just to share or leave a legacy.
Yep.
So our clients are using the book to get on TV and podcast as well, meet amazing people. So uh, that's why like my team and I decided that to rebrand it again to Authors on Mission.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is the journey. Initially, it was not to my purpose was not to help people become a published author. It was to make money and pay my bills. That was my purpose. But now, when I had certain money in my bank account, and when I was able to take care of myself and my family, then you start thinking about exactly what I'm doing, and I start really loving what I do, because uh, when I see it, like I see that I'm not only helping our clients, we also are helping the readers who are reading our clients' books. So it's kind of a ripple effect or a snowball effect. Um, and whenever our clients shares their readers' testimonials or reviews that, hey, like we got this review, I personally enjoy that or relish that a lot
Mm-hmm.
more than the new clients that we are getting, because we see that like how the work that we are doing in this world is actually helping this world or other people. So we are trying to change the world for better, one book at a time.
Yeah, I love that. And gosh, man, there's so much. Firstly, just thank you for the the transparency of your story. I think it's always powerful for people to really hear that just because of where you are today, it doesn't mean that you had to start many years ago. I think sometimes it's so easy for us to all get caught up in where people are today and have admiration for the success without ever acknowledging there was a start at some point. There was a starting place, and for you, it was a difficult one. It was a really difficult one, but through it became this journey and story of so many lessons. And there's two things for me that I took from everything that you sort of said there is, one, that ability to establish quality in what you were doing, and in doing so, attract attention from others for it. So instead of just assuming that you could go out there and start helping people, you actually created so much value in what you were doing as an individual that you attracted that interest. You truly pulled it in. And I think that in itself is so telling for anyone listening as well who's thinking about how they can better serve others. Instead of always looking outwards, focus a little bit more internally. Just stop and say, oh, hey, am I maximizing myself? If I can maximize myself, then maybe in doing that, I'm actually going to exude value for others to potentially invest in. I mean, that's what I heard from that part of the story. Does that sound about right?
Exactly. Yep. And I personally, this is my personal experience, is if the company is from startup to mid-level company, the company is kind of a reflection of the personality of the owner or the founder. Yeah. I've always seen it, like, not only for my company, but also with other companies as well, or other friends that own companies. I personally know them. For example, if the person is very messy, it tends to make the business very messy. Or until if someone else in a really great position comes, right, like who is taking care of the entire company, who is very much organized, then they're able to maybe organize the business. But if the owner or the founder is in charge, then it is kind of a reflection of the owner or the founder. So yeah, you said it right. Like, always, I also then start working on the other things, that how I can attract initially, that how I can attract new clients. I was simply focusing on how I can write, publish, and more books and do it effectively. And people start noticing it, and they start reaching out to me.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's good for people to hear stories like this if they're in a career right now where maybe they feel as though they're trying to get that promotion or new opportunity within the work that they do. Maybe they're so focused on trying to pull in that attention that they're actually not doing as good a job as they could be doing. And you're really preaching right now, man, in that sense of, hey, just you focus on you and you do the best work that you can physically do. Chances are opportunity is going to come your way. In addition to that, attention is going to come your way with it. And so that's really cool. The other part that I really wanted to pull from too is that ability to recognize the evolution of what an author maybe wants from the writing process and adapting your company through that evolution as well. You know, to have that initial name for the company because it kind of represented where you were as a company too. And then as you start to create best-selling authors, boom, change the name. It's now bestsellingBooks.com. But for you to say, and I relate to that massively, just so you know, like for me, I actually didn't write a book to become a bestseller. I wrote a book much more in line with what you're talking about here. I am a guy who is on a mission to make some impact. Like that for me is the be all and end all, no matter how many books I go on and sell. And so for you to acknowledge that there are many people out there thinking that way, I think is great. And to be honest with you, just to give you even greater feedback with the company, I think it's actually going to pull more attention from potential clients as well, because when it's just, hey, best-selling book, like you said, like you're almost creating a finish line right there, whereas now you're saying, hey, there is no finish line. If it's about being on a mission, you decide where the finishing line is, and until you get to that point, we're here to support you as much as possible, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's the goal. And with Authors on Mission, like the website is already live, but I think it's going to take another 1 month for our existing clients to acknowledge that that we have rebranded. But yeah, like that was the goal. That was the purpose. After working with so many people, we realized that not all the people or all the clients we work with, they are after becoming best-selling authors. For someone, maybe they just wanted to become a published author and they wanted to use that. We have also worked with 3 or 4 clients like who didn't want to publish the book on Amazon. They just wanted printed copies of their books, and they wanted to share it with their grandchildren's.
Right.
Right. So for them, they just wanted to keep it in their family and just keep it as a kind of a family legacy that, hey, how their great grandfathers were. So for them, best-selling book is nothing, right? So they were not able to relate with us. And then we had to tell them that, hey, like, we can customize it, like we can remove the marketing side and we can remove the bestseller side, and we can still make you write the book and publish the book, and then you can keep the copies. But for them, it was kind of a difficult. But now, that's the goal that, hey, like, whatever the mission is, it is your mission, and with helping you become a published author, we can help you achieve that.
I love it, man. It's for me to hear something like that, it says a lot about you as a business owner, in the sense that you are serving your potential clients. And of course you're in this to profit and succeed as a company, the way any business owner is. No matter how much you may be prioritizing great things, every business owner is obviously trying to stay afloat, be successful, bring in income, et cetera, et cetera. But at the heart of that, though, too, is you have decisions to make in terms of how you show up, and in terms of how you insist on delivering a service or a product to people in a way that really exudes what it is you're trying to accomplish. And in this case, you are trying to help people somehow realize a purpose and realize a mission in the work that they do. And something to some people will just be like, oh, it's just writing a book, no big deal. But to some people, it's a huge deal. It's a really big deal. And you're obviously appealing much more to those people, because there's a lot of people out there, as you said, 80% of Americans are like, hey, I wouldn't mind writing a book. But as I know now, I'm part of that 1%. Even though I'm not American, I'm in America, but I'm one of that 1% of people that actually were able to get to the starting line and get all the way across to the finish line. So it's an awesome story, just in terms of how the business has grown and become what it is now. And I love hearing that shift as well in the branding. And my last question for you, man, is that obviously you guys are well on your way. You're making rebranding. You're serving a ton of people. You got a lot of staff. Things look great, but I'm curious from you, Vikrant, what for you now is that measurement of success? How are you able to define, hey, as a competitor at what you do, how are you determining whether or not you are fulfilling, what that competitor is trying to achieve, or whether you're falling short? Like, how are you measuring success now in this day and age?
Yeah, so there are two things that we want to achieve. The first is we really want to master the things that are important for our clients to achieve, right? So for us, most of the clients that they come to us, they are not only after becoming a published author, they also want to, for example, get on TV or get speaking gigs, get on podcasts. So we are trying to offer those services as well to the clients in the back end, so that they will get everything in one place. They don't have to look after other services. So for example, if they want to do book tour, then we can help them with that as well. So sure. All of these, like, basically we are trying to build kind of an ecosystem of services. So anything they want A to Z in the publishing space, they can get it in Authors on Mission. So that's the goal, including New York Times bestseller as well. Like, as of now, 2 years ago, like, we introduced this service, Wall Street Journal bestseller, and we have helped dozens of clients already, help them become WSJ bestseller or US Today bestseller. But now our next goal is New York Times bestseller, and it is very, very complicated, very, very difficult to achieve. And for all the services that we do, like, we offer unlimited revisions and guarantees. But with New York Times bestseller, it's very, like, we can. So for New York Times, like, let me give you some stats. Like, we have to get more than 15 to 20,000 sales. We can achieve that, but New York Times editors don't just go after the sales. They just check all the different things, that, like, how many podcasts the author were, how many traditional medias they got featured on, like newspapers and TVs. So all of these things, at the same time, the book's quality and the book cover design, all of these things, to make sure that and so, yeah, like, we are also trying to go after that as well. So as of now, Uh, our day to day is like my personal day to day is uh, improving the systems, right? So that everything is smooth for what we are doing currently, and we are trying to add some other services in the back end in case if the client wants. At the same time, there are some my personally, I really wanted to add that New York Times bestseller as well as a service in our all carte list. So yeah, that's the goal.
I love it, man. There's plenty of ambition there to keep you busy. No doubt about it. Plenty of ambition to keep you busy. And hey, for any of your future authors, they know you should know they've got a place to come visit on the Career Competitor podcast. They're more than welcome to come hang out
Yeah.
and tell us all about their book anytime. But with all that being said, man, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity for you to come on. I know in India right now it's like midnight. Is that right?
Yes,
Am I
yes,
getting that
it
right?
is.
Do you work on American time, or are you making an effort to stay up for me?
No. So I work till 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Like this, the my usual time.
This is your usual time.
Uh,
Good, good. I'm
yeah,
not keeping you up late. Okay, that's good. That's
no,
good to
no,
know.
not at
That's
all.
good to know. But anyway, man, even if I were, I think we had a good time, and this was wonderful having you on the show, man. And just remind everybody where they need to go to learn more about either yourself or obviously the company too.
Yeah, so the new website is live, authorsonmission.com. So if you think that this is, um, just go through all the people who have gone through our services. If you think that this is a fit, just simply book a call with us. And Brian Tracy said this thing a few years ago that if you want to um, establish your authority in your industry, then you have to become an author, because in authority, the first few letters are authors. So if you really want to outperform your competition, right, just like career competitor, then one of the best way is to become a published author or a best-selling author, because people are going to see you differently. People are going to see you as an expert in your industry. So if you think that if this is a right fit or right time for you to become an author, and if you think that Authors on Mission is a right fit, simply book a call, and we would love to help you on your publishing journey.
Awesome. Vikrant, it's been such a pleasure, man. I've really appreciated having you on, and just best of luck with the remainder of 2023. And I look forward to seeing a client of yours at the top of the New York bestsellers list at some point.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Hey, don't go anywhere. I've got my final thoughts coming up from our guest today. So please take some time, give it a moment, take a drink. I got a couple more minutes I need to get out of you. Some final thoughts. Here we go. And my thanks again to Vikrant for joining us on the show today. Really enjoyed that. Something a little bit different, and really encourage anyone who's listening to this. Like, if you're thinking about writing a book, reach out to Vikrant. I'm leaving all his information within the show notes so you can take a look at that. Clearly, Vikrant's story is one of someone who has understood the need to stop, reflect, and evolve, as he and his company have done exactly that. Evolve. You know, he's continued to improve, he's continued to level up. But I love the story of how it's now, the business has now become authorsonamission.com. It was a surprise to me. Everything that I had on Vikrant before the episode was bestsellingbook.com. So what a wonderful surprise for me. And then the story behind it, I think, is something that we can all learn from. How willing are you to stop from time to time and ask, have you evolved beyond the level that you're actually at? And if you have, well, what are you going to do to best display that evolution has occurred? Are you going to make a change? Are you going to commit to something that proves that you've actually evolved? What does that element of recognition look like for you to portray, most importantly to yourself, that an evolution has occurred? When it comes to Vikrant's company, the evolution is there and will be there for people to see. That it is no longer about simply best-selling books, but it is now about helping an author that's on a mission to achieving a very specific goal. Recognizing that every author's story is going to be different than the one before and the one after. And that's going to be the case with you too. Wherever you are in your career, you're doing it your own way. You're not doing it the same way as the person that came before you, and you're not going to be doing it the same way as the person that comes after you. Find ways to acknowledge how you are evolving, how you are leveling up, and what you're going to do to recognize that element of maturation. It's important, and it will start to drive you towards whatever that next level can potentially be as well. Again, I thank Vikrant for the time today. I'm glad that you decided to join us. If you're still listening at the 40-minute point, please take the time to click the 5th star on your way out. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, be sure to share this episode of the show with anyone that you think it could be of use to. Anyone in your world who's thinking of writing a book. What a great episode to be sharing with somebody to maybe go forward and take that initial step of getting one step closer to becoming a published author. But whatever you've got going on, as always, take the time to be going back and listening to other episodes, whether it be other interviews or my Coach's Corner episodes, short and sweet, 7-8 minute episodes with an element of an insight from my coaching practice that I turn into a short story that can serve you in your growth and hopefully that of the growth around you as well. As always, folks, keep doing everything that you're doing and good luck within that process. I look forward to doing all of this with you again very soon, and bye for now.